Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation, with a warning to new silver stackers. Over the last year or so, I've been very encouraged to see new members of the community join us that have just started stacking silver. Now, silver has been making a move in the upwards direction, and many of those who have commented have been very pleased to see the price go up when they have been making buys when the price has been down. That's what we all like to see and hear. However, obviously, as time goes on, these new silver stackers continue to accumulate at the prices where they are at the time of purchase. And they can be up. And actually, mostly that is kind of what's happened over the last several, even a half a year or so. We've seen the price of silver steadily go up. There's been times where it's gone down a bit, but it has been encouraging to see the price movement in the direction that it has. However, for those of you who are new to silver stacking, there is another number that we pay attention to, and that is the gold to silver ratio. And it has been as wide as it has been for quite some time, and it is something that people do pay attention to. And it's also a reason why many people are considering gold as an ultimate safe haven. Now, for new silver stackers, especially if you're on a fixed income, and you're new to accumulating the metal, I would encourage you to continue to accumulate silver to such a time as where you feel comfortable with the metal before you take the dive into gold. But gold typically fluctuates less than silver, hence why it is considered, at least in my opinion, as the ultimate safe haven. But this video is about a warning to those of you who are accumulating this metal. You know, I've been asked some questions about where to buy, where's a trusted source to buy. And the answer to that is most reputable bullion dealers that are out there are good. And there's a lot of them, at least enough of them that you can list their names, such as Monument Metals, APMEX, Provident Metals, JM Bullion, which are essentially one and the same, Gainesville Coins, Bold Precious Metals. The list really does go on. And there are reviews. You know, obviously you want to check as you would shop from any organization. You probably want to check their reviews. You want to make sure that the company is sound. But nonetheless, there are so many out there, good ones. SD Bullion, Silver Gold Bull. You know, the list goes on. But I wanted to get a little bit of a background on silver before I give the actual warning to the members who have joined this community and who are watching videos about silver out there. You know, it goes without saying that silver has been around humanity for thousands of years, in one form or another, but its purpose has shifted over the years. And that is part of the warning, really, when you think about it, because silver has probably been sold to you in some way, in some form, as an investment or as money. And I do believe it can be, in some aspects, an investment, depending on the type of silver you buy. Because there is different types of silver that you can buy, especially if it's better bullion, low mintage pieces that are hot at certain points. There was an example here late last year, where a particular Silver Eagle coin that has a different finish and a different mint mark has a limited mintage but a high demand. It's 1 ounce of silver. It's no different than this coin here, save for one mint mark and the finish on the coin. And it's fetching, well over $1,000 for 1 ounce silver. That is an investment. But the metal itself has shifted in its role over the years. And it has become much more of a commodity these days, and seen much more of a commodity these days than even it was 10 years ago. Even though the uses of silver really have not changed a whole lot since then, we are seeing growing uses for silver in the tech sector, in the medical sector, and in the industrial sectors. Make no mistake, silver is a commodity, and even to some extent gold is as well, and they trade in those areas as well. But you and I have come to know silver as money, and that it does not go away just because it is seen as a commodity. Silver is money and has been money for thousands of years. In fact, it is why governments around the world denote as such on their coins. And also, it trades in bullion bars and rounds as well. So that is something that will not go away and holds true. That silver is money, whether or not it is dormant or not, and that factor is obviously another situation. Silver is obviously not used as a currency, and that is a difference. But the warning is as follows. Because it's a commodity, because it does trade in the markets, both electronically and physically, silver will go down in price. That's right, that's the warning. Silver will go down in price, and the warning is to not be discouraged when silver does take that hit. Because essentially, especially for those who have started within the last 6-7 months or so, or even if you started earlier than that, when silver was quite low, in fact, about $14 an ounce, silver will eventually go down, and it will continue to climb in some in other aspects as well. And it is that you should be aware of, because when you take into account situations where you would need to sell your silver, well, you're going to take whatever is paid for it, depending on where you sell it. And you can sell it back in quantity to some bullion dealers, but you have to remember that you're going to pay shipping, and you're also going to be responsible for any lost premiums that may have paid. For instance, if you bought silver at $15 an ounce and it's sitting at $18 an ounce, you may get $17 or $17, whatever the percentage below spot they may give you for silver. So you may gain a little bit, but if you have to ship it out, you're responsible for that shipping. And of course, the time it takes to deliver that silver and what have you. You have to take into account all those different factors that come into play. Now, American Silver Eagles and Canadian Maple Leafs that you see here, it may be a different story. They may give you spot price, maybe even a slight premium, because they're so well recognized in the marketplace. But you have to keep in mind that whatever the spot price of silver is, you may not necessarily get that at the time that you sell. And so that is something that people don't often talk about when they talk about silver. Well, I've gained, if it goes to $20 and you bought it at $15, you've gained $5. That's not how you should look at it. And by the way, price is merely a reflection of the market. Its true value should be reflected in ounces, because if you look at a 100-year chart, actually a 105-year chart of silver, you will see how it averages out throughout that history, adjusted for inflation. If you go back to 1915, at one point it was $13.12 adjusted for inflation, and here it's $18. It's over $18 right now. Now those are just two particular dates, but if you average it out, essentially, silver holds its own against inflation over the long term. Now, obviously, there are going to be times where silver performs worse than the level of inflation, and there are going to be other times where it performs above. And year on year, essentially, there's enough volatility that it can lose or gain on a percentage from the prior year. In other words, in 1936, for instance, silver fell 30% from the prior year, 1935, when it was up 33%. And that's when silver was used as money and currency. So silver is a volatile metal, and it will continue to be volatile. So keep that in mind. And the other warning that I would give to you about silver and accumulation thereof is to be careful what you listen to out there as you watch YouTube videos and read analysis reports. Because there are going to be some people who either have an agenda or are so invested in silver that it is in their best interest to literally pump it up, so to speak, or to overly inflate its value and potential. And I think that's hazardous and harmful, and it's a disservice to you as a new stacker. I believe it is better to be realistic about silver and where it's going and where it has been. And because I believe the metal is so great that it sells itself. It has wonderful uses out there. It is a very unique metal in that way. And it has value that I think transcends price. And I think when you keep that in mind and you hold on to silver for a long enough time, it's going to serve its purpose. And what is its purpose? To protect you as an insurance policy against economic instability. That's it. I believe the metal itself and holding it as and stacking it in that regard serves the purpose to protect you against economic instability and to preserve value, to preserve the wealth that you have accumulated there. And by the way, that's for a very long time. You know, there's something called dollar cost averaging, and you can really get into the weeds on that particular notion, to where you average your cost over a long period of time. You calculate what you paid for and the premium tied to it, and over a time. And if you calculate that long enough, you will essentially break even. You know, for the most part, there's going to be times where you do better and times where you do worse. And you have to obviously adjust that for inflation, because by target, the dollar loses 2% each year. That's what the Federal Reserve targets. So keep that in mind. Silver, it's a lovely metal. It's exciting to see more people get involved in it. But as new folks come into the world of stacking and accumulating silver, they need to be aware that silver's use and the way that it has been portrayed can be twisted, and I think the best way and path forward is to be realistic about silver. So if I or anybody else says something that you either find attractive or wrong, you know, let us know. There is different viewpoints on silver. People have reasonable differences in viewpoints on it. But in the end, I think that most will agree that it does preserve your wealth. And I think that's the common factor that I think should be embraced more often than not. You know, when people make predictions about silver rising, and I've done that as well, or making predictions about silver lowering in price over a time, and I've done that as well, don't take our word for it. We're just guessing. Now, some guesses are more educated than others, but in the end, it's just a guess. Accumulate the metal and accumulate it for a period of time as such that you will be able to dollar cost average and come out even in the end as a savings. That's what silver is about. Silver is about savings. So I hope you found this video helpful. I would like to encourage you to continue to press on and continue to stack. And don't worry if the price goes down. Accumulate as you can. And I would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for watching, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.